Well, happy Sunday morning, everybody. Good morning. It is morning here. How's that for an auspicious introduction? And woke up early, woke up again just a few minutes ago. So I'm here. I'm ready. How are you? Are you awake? Are you having coffee? And let me get the chat room up so I can see it. There it is. Good morning, Brianna. How are you this morning? Over in Learman Land. Hey, Grumpy Stack, down in Louisiana, Remeldian, wherever you are you in Philippines or something, or California? I can't remember which, or somewhere in between. And, I think that's all we have. I thought we had Field Guy in there too, and I saw that wrong. How's everybody this morning? It's a cooler day today than it was today. It's early spring here in Wisconsin, Minnesota, which means it can go from 49 degrees one day to 72 the next day and humid, which it was yesterday. And it's back to like 49 degrees today. So hope everybody's doing well. Hi, Susie Q. Good to see you. As most everybody already knows, this is Sunday morning. It's the unofficial Intrepid radio program. We're not broadcasting on air at the radio station this morning, although we could. I just decided not to make it official. I don't want to make it something that I have to do 6 days a week. I do this because I like to when I get up on Sunday morning, if we don't have anything scheduled. So other than this show, that doesn't make you second rate. It just means Sunday's optional. But as you can see, we do it more often than not. Sometimes we hit some decent topics. Sometimes we just talk tomfoolery and or politics of the day or current events or things like that. So there you go. And the overhead light that I turned on makes the shadows in my eyes even more distinct, showing you that, yes, I just woke up not long ago. Oh, there. Rainy shut them off. So, now it's very shadowy, but that's okay. Hey, good morning, Master Finn. How you doing this morning? Oh, now they're back on. Thank you, Rainy. I'll leave them on. Brianna says, doing all right. My body aches bad from being sick over the last week. Gross. Friday, I slept 7:30 p.m. till 7:30 a.m. and napped yesterday for 3 hours and slept 9:30 to 8:30 this morning. Yeah, that sounds the way Rainey and I were a couple of weeks back. So it was sleep all the time. And I've still got, I think, a little bit of that hanging on. So nothing else going on, just tired all the time. So, coffee. And it says it was Honduran coffee. And it was already ground, but it was the quickest thing. So I threw it in the French press. You're supposed to lightly grind coffee beans for fresh press, meaning it's a little more chunky beans in there. And so this was finely ground, but it worked out all right. It still tastes good. Yes, coffee, says Susie Q. How's it going today, Matt Finn? Hope everything's all right. Grumpy Stack, hope you're doing all right. Do you work on Sundays at the shop? Or is Sunday your day off? Are you closed Sundays down in the Bible Belt in Louisiana? So, Brianna, it's been rough, and this wind outside isn't helping. It's ridiculous outside on our patio. Furniture is starting to blow across the deck. Yeah, our rocker rocks itself out on the deck in this wind. It's really windy this morning. So, Rainy, what are you just getting dressed, or are you going somewhere? Just putting socks on. She got a nice big red raw bruisey mark on her big toe knuckle. Well, not the knuckle part. It's up a little ways. Where Rowan or Ellie dropped this rock on her foot the other night. And if you were here during the captain's cabin, you got to see that live. Woo! Highlights of the captain's cabin. Rainy getting rocks dropped on her feet. Where's Paul? Hey, Paul from Newcastle. Good to see you. Nice to have you in here this morning. Yeah, Romeldian. So, yeah, if it asks for money, cancel it, Ellie.
She's not really reading it though.
Oh,
Fine print.
that's why I keep having these little tiny charges. We have them come out of our cards because the kids will get things for games they're playing on their phones, and they just click OK, and it automatically charges our accounts. My brain is only half awake this morning, but it's getting there. And there's lots of things to talk about. I was going to ask what you all thought about this Disney thing and DeSantis, the governor of Florida. And I think, in a nutshell, I see two sides to this. I see the side where everybody's real happy that DeSantis is challenging Disney and that he's yanked. The state of Florida has yanked the self-governing status away from Disney. And people are, wow, he's sure being shallow and political. Well, you know why he did that? It's because Disney is being shallow and political. He basically said, Disney, if you want to play a political game, I'll play a political game right back to you. And Disney's being all political. They don't like his what has been dubbed by certain elements in our society the don't say gay law, which is not at all what's in the very short 1,400 word bill. You can read it in less than 10 minutes and understand it and comprehend it. It just says, all that bill says is that school teachers in public school cannot teach anything sexual orientation, anything like that to kids between kindergarten and third grade. Boom, that's it. I think back to my kindergarten through third grade. I wasn't taught anything sexual, and I turned out just fine. Hi, puppy. The dog is just whimpering at my feet today. I do not know what's up with her this morning. What do you want? What do you need, Lucy? What's up? Huh? So she's down here whimpering, pawing at me. And so, because of that law, Disney has now said that they were going to fight it. They were going to mount up as much money behind their own politicians that they support, that they have paid for over the years, and paid to get elected. Let's put it that way. Let's keep it in the honest camp. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. They pay in support for people to be elected that support their causes. And that's okay. Now, Disney wants to mount a war against DeSantis over the Don't Say Gay bill, what they're calling the Don't Say Gay bill. That's not what the bill even says. And so DeSantis is saying, Disney, if you want to exit your lane, which is the entertainment world lane, and go into the politics lane about educating our kids, then you know what? I'll play the political game back with you. We'll pull your tab, which they did. And so I think that that's very interesting. And I think it was a good play on DeSantis's part. Don't let people out there in the news world and the media and political camps and special interest groups try to convince you that it's any different than that. That's exactly what it is. DeSantis said, if you're going to play politics, I'll play politics right back with you. Get out of the political lane and stick to the entertainment lane, and you might not have as much problem. Why does anyone, let alone Disney, want to teach sexual stuff to young kids? Says Field Guy. Well, I think it's because it's an attempt to normalize something that that particular mindset believes is normal. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if you're an adult and you want to make decisions like that for yourself, my opinion doesn't matter. Yours doesn't matter. Nobody's matters. If it's legal and you want to do whatever you want, do it. You're a grown adult. You have the right to make your own decisions, even if it's regarding your sexuality. If you believe that you're a different sex than what your body says you are, that's fine. I have no problem with that if you want to do it. If you want to address that and live that and maybe even surgically alter that, that is your business, not mine. It's not my business who you sleep with. It's not my business who you have sex with. You know, to a certain degree, we all know what those limits are. If it's somebody they shouldn't be having sex with, and so on, you get the idea there. But this is a free country, and you have a right to choose and enjoy the happiness of your life without being unencumbered by government or me. But when your movement, be it sexual, be it anything out there, is something that parents say, I don't want my kids learning that at a place where they're supposed to learn reading, writing, and arithmetic. I don't want that taught in the schools. I will teach that at home. Especially to my little kids, my 5 to 8-year-olds don't need to know that. If a community decides we don't want that, or on a state level it's voted in, then there it is. So I believe that answer Field Guy's, nonchalant or offhand question, which I'm sure he already knows the answer to this. He just asked him, what business is it in anybody's? Why would anybody want to teach sexuality to little kids? It's because they want to get kids when they're young and indoctrinate them into thinking the way they want them to think. It's social experimentation in a place of learning. Now, why don't you just go keep it out of the schools? If it's government run, keep that out of the schools. So there you go. You have a 5 and an 8-year-old. Let's see. Matt Finn, I'm not sure who Grumpy Stack's addressing there. Matt Finn says ABC. I got to blow this up a little bit. ABC spiked the original reporting of Epstein. There's a hot mic clip of the reporter who had the story wondering out loud why they shut her story down. It's obvious what's happening here. It is. There is a concerted attempt by certain political factions in our country to dominate the message. And the other side is condemned when they fight against it. But the other side isn't usually saying, you don't have the right to say what you want to say. It's a free country. They're saying, do not legislate this. Stay away from my children on this particular thing. So why haven't we seen the Griswold Maxwell list? Yeah, why haven't we seen that? Why haven't we seen a lot of things? One of the big things in the news, especially from, if you want to call it the lopsided, politically oriented news, more conservative news outlets are reporting a hell of a lot about Hunter Biden and the connections to his father. You're not hearing that on the normal SMS, or MSM, the mainstream media. Why are you not hearing that? Why was that story suppressed? But now you see everybody talking about Biden and Hunter. The laptop, the Washington Post was the newspaper that just re-released that a few weeks back. And it hit the news very big. Why is everybody talking about Biden's cognitive capabilities now? Why is the press abandoning Biden? Because the press stood behind suppressing that story, all of those stories during the election, because they wanted Trump out of office. And now that he's out of office, now they've got a kettle of fish they got to deal with. Now, so the media, the news media, it's there to protect and ask the tough questions and protect American citizens until it goes against their agenda and their narrative. And then they will suppress those stories, as we've seen on several different fronts. Grumpy Stack says some of them are starting to talk about it. The only one who still doesn't go near the Hunter story is MSLSD. MSNBC. Exactly. So what's Brianna say here? Brianna says, I remember when I was 6 or 7, in the 6th or 7th grade, I believe when we first started learning about periods in health class. And we're talking about menstrual periods, folks. And it was very awkward. They would split the boys and the girls to keep us separate. Well, you know why they want to do it at 5, 6, and 7 years old now is because those are kids who are very impressionable at that age. And they want to impress on these kids the normalization of certain things that there are still many people in our country, many people in the world who believe that some of the things that they talk about, transsexuality, things like that, gender reassignment, that's really an oddity, or that that's aside the normal. And so they, it's not that the gay has never been out of normal. We've always had gay people. We just called them different things in the past. They had different labels in the past, but they want to normalize behavior. And there are people that say, no, you're not going to normalize that to my 5, 6, 7, or 8-year-old. So, and that's all that bill says in Florida. It doesn't ban it. It doesn't say you can't say gay. It says you can't talk to 5, 6, 7-year-olds. I think that's the age limit. Kindergarten through 3rd grade, you cannot talk to them about sexuality. Boom. It doesn't say you can't talk about it outside the classroom. It doesn't say you can't counsel. It says that the classroom is not a place to teach this to that age group, and you will not do it in the state of Florida. It doesn't ban the speech, free speech. It says the schools cannot teach that at that age group. That's all a lot of hullabaloo about nothing from the people who want to support the normalization of teaching those things to little kids. Probably wider scope than our government, Sean, but definitely factions of our government are included. I didn't see what Sean said. Hey, Sean, by the way, Sean Bowden, welcome this morning. Is our government responsible for all these burning food processing plants? No idea if the government's behind it. I don't think officially, obviously, but I think that that's something that Matt Finn just answered that I think very well, possibly other factions. Elderberry says we have to prosecute these Gates like people. They rolled out psychological op after another, one after another. No one wanted Cheesy Joe in that office, and it was done to disrupt us. That's very true. Well, they say there are now 51 people that were high operatives in the government. We're talking like FBI, CIA, intelligence, including Gates and others, that were responsible for covering up all this stuff and pushing a Biden agenda. And I have said many times, and I repeated it yesterday, Rainey and I were talking as we were driving the kids over to the volleyball tournament. Rainey and I were talking in the car, and we said that all of this stuff that we're seeing right now, this stuff being suppressed and all of that, it's all was, I have no problem, and we had no problem. We agreed. I'm sorry, I'm going around my elbow to get to my thumb on this point. The bottom line was we agreed that I might not like somebody from the left in office of president because I disagree with them on a political, ideological level. But everything that's going on right now in our world that's coming to the feet of the President of the United States in the last year, I could deal with that on a politically ideological level and do my my ranting about it, whatever, and whatever and whatever, if there were somebody in the office who was cognitive, somebody in the office who we knew was a leader and was making decisions on their own. Right now, I guarantee you don't have Joe Biden making many decisions in office. There is his cabal was the word that came to mind. I don't think it's probably as like a cabal, but you got his handlers, his people. You've got right now a lot of other people than Joe Biden making the decisions, and he is the figurehead. That's why he can't remember what he's saying from moment to moment, because he's cognitively challenged these days, which is not his own fault, so I don't blame him. He's cognitively challenged, but at the same time, he's saying what he's told to say. We've seen times where he's even slipped and said, "Well, I don't remember what I was supposed to say on that." Things like that. But so I don't blame so much Joe Biden. It's the people who put him there. You don't have a leader in Trump, whether you liked him or not. At least he made decisions, and you had a leader in the office, somebody who took the leadership reins. Joe Biden has figuratively taken the reins, but he's not the one in charge, and he's not the one leading. And so what Rainey and I concluded was I could handle it if somebody like, who else was running for president? Well, of course, Kamala Harris. She'd have been a terrible president. We've seen by her vice presidency. We could see why she had less than 2% support when she dropped out of the race. And we see why she had less than 2% support. Why she was appointed vice president, that wasn't Joe's decision. That was the people around him. You will appoint this woman because she is a woman of color. Worst reason to appoint somebody to office. If you want to appoint somebody of color or a woman of color, make sure that they are qualified for the job. She was not qualified for the job. But let's say you got anybody else on the left that was running, put them in the office. At least you had people who were cognitive and they weren't struggling with cognitive abilities. They would have made up their own minds. I think the reason Joe Biden got pushed to the fore is probably because they knew they could control who he was. And of course, we don't know anything that goes on behind the scenes. Is it like a Manchurian candidate? I think Doug Stack has mentioned that in here before. Other people have. We say that flippantly, but is it like that? Is it because they knew they could control somebody who was already challenged in mind? And I don't say that with any vitriol toward Joe Biden. I feel kind of bad for Joe Biden. Joe Biden shouldn't be where he is right now. He should be at home, on the porch, going fishing, driving his 67 Corvette. I don't think they'd let him drive. I just saw a thing, an ad on that, something where he was talking about he was showing off his 67 Corvette. He says, "Well, they don't let me drive it all that much anymore." Oh, that was in a speech he gave the other day, and Friday, I think Thursday or Friday, and he says, "I got a 67 Corvette at home, although I don't drive it that much. I can't drive it that much anymore. They don't let me drive it." So the point being, Joe Biden, I feel bad for him. He's being, I think this is a great grand scale elder abuse you see going on right now, and his wife is in on it. I don't know what promises they made them. I don't know what, but and I've said this before too. I don't know if I said it on the radio show because I try not to talk too much politics during the week. But Joe Biden, he had a legacy before he became president. He had been the vice president of the United States for 8 years. He'd had 40 years, almost 40 years, if not more, in the Congress. That no matter where you agreed with him, whether you agreed with him or not, where you stood on the subject of Joe Biden in politics, he had his legacy. He was done. He was done with his vice president term. He always wanted to be president. He ran 2 other times and never made it, even into the top tier for the elections. But he always wanted to do that. That was on his bucket list. I want to be the president. That's why he spent 40 years in Congress and in government. But the fact that hey, Ellie, lose my train of thought because my child came in here. Biden had his legacy intact. Retire. You're in your mid-70s. You're starting to slip just a little bit cognitively at the time that he started running and when they dragged him into the race. You notice he didn't announce. He was out there, but he didn't announce. I think he was struggling with it. Didn't want to do it. And his legacy was intact. He built his vice presidential library and things like that. Now, what do you think Joe Biden's legacy is going to be? I think becoming the POTUS absolutely destroyed the legacy he had because he's the POTUS in office that had no no ability to lead.
You know what you should say if you ever see Joe Biden? Let's go, Brandon. Let's go.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that input. Wonder where she heard that. Hi, small alien. She's already out of the room. Hey, Steph Cuervo Queen. Good to see you. Haven't seen you for a while. Glad you're here this morning. She says, hello. So, glad to have you in here this morning. And if I missed anybody else coming in during my rant, welcome this morning. And I thought we were going to have Wendy Robertson on Friday, and events dictated against that. And I asked her if she wanted to come on this morning, if she was able to, and she sent me a voice message, which I can't play while we're doing radio. So I'm not sure, Wendy, if you're out there, but if she comes into the to chat this morning, we'll bring her on. Let's see. Oh, and by the way, if anybody else would like to call in, if you've got something you want to talk about or talk about any of this stuff, boom, it's in the stuff down below in the write-up for the show today. But there, I've just put the link in the chat room, and you can use that and also come over. So, how is everybody doing this morning? I don't have my glasses on, so I have to lean in and yeah, there you go. There you go, field guy. It's French now. Let's go, Brandon. So, what's everybody saying in here? Matt Finn, I think that's how they get this people in there, not why they were chosen. Yeah, that's how they get them in. That's for certain. Paint them orange, call them an Oompa Loompa. There is some of the most astute political commentary I've seen. Thank you, field guy. Oh, Beta O'Rourke. Yeah, he could have been our president. You know, he's going to run again. Who else said they were going to run again? Joe Biden told Obama last week that he was going to run again. He's going to run for re-election. Do you think Joe Biden will get reelected? I got people that are supporting him. I watch whenever I can catch it in its clips. Late at night, I'll sit down and I'll watch The Five. That was always my favorite show. It was a Fox News show, The Five. Five commentators: Greg Gutfeld and Dana Perino. And it used to be some other people. Geraldo's on there every now and then. They would have Juan Williams. I don't know if Juan Williams is still part of it. He was kind of the resident leftist, but they would discuss. It was a round table, and Judge Janine Pirro, I think Pirro is how you pronounce her last name, and they have a guy on there, Harold something. I think he is a former congressman, if I'm not mistaken, but he was commenting, and he's very well spoken. He's very polite. I think he is also a very nice person. I disagree with him politically. And he got on the other night on their show, and they were talking about Biden, and they said something. He said something to the effect, yeah, he said he was going to run again, and I'd support him again. And Judge Janine looks at him and goes, "Oh, Harold," like that. You cannot be serious. I find it very hard to say that anybody who thinks for themselves, who is intelligent about what it takes to be president, who's intelligent about politics, could possibly support Joe Biden in a re-election bid. Support somebody else who's got the ability. So, anyway, there you go. It's my take on that. Hey, Leslie, good morning. Welcome to the program this morning. Oh, I thought that was something else. I think you and are on the same page, Sis Morgan. There you go. So Morgan Snow must be here too, huh? Hey, Morgan Snow. Nice to see you. It's Sunday morning, folks. Anybody joining us late? The Sunday morning show is not part of the official Odyssey Radio lineup, so we're not broadcasting on Odyssey Radio. It's just us, our own private little thing going on here on YouTube. Hey, Raini, and she's sitting over there having breakfast. And if I sound like I'm babbling, I am. Still trying to clear my head. What was this from Field Guy? Obama told Buck Biden, you will run Bish. There you go. Live from Field Guy. Let's see. No, Obama told Joe Biden that Joe Biden will run again. Let's get that straight. Probably did. The news was saying that Biden told Obama that he was going to run again. Do you seriously think, is there anybody in this chat room that seriously thinks Joe Biden is qualified to run again for election? Will he be allowed to stay in office his entire term?
Obama, nobody else has respect for him. He won't be there.
Yeah. Obama doesn't even respect him. Nobody does. You saw how they all treated him at Obama at the White House function a couple of weeks ago. So Grumpy Stack says, come on down to the swampland. I don't know who that was directed to. Never underestimate the brainwashing ability of our MSM through propaganda. Ain't that the truth? So most people will hear things on the news and they believe it because they don't do any work looking it up. Looking up their facts. Matt Finn says if they get their plans back on track, there won't be much of an America left to run for. Yeah, ain't that the truth? I really do hope that as things are looking now, it worries me that we're talking about it so much on the right, that the right is going to totally be a red wave is going to come through in the midterms in November, which is November, folks. It's only 6 months away. And so that's going to come through. But I think we've been talking about it for so much, and the indicators are all that it's going to happen. But it always worries me when we talk about it too much ahead of time. Now, am I necessarily Republican? No, I'm independent. But we need to have a Congress that will not support and fall off of every word that spills off of the Obama mouthpiece. Obama, maybe that was Freudian. The Biden mouthpiece. He needs to have a difficult time getting anything passed.
If you can't say nice stuff, shut your freaking mouth.
Yeah. It's direct from Raini. If you can't say nice things, shut your freaking mouth. Let's see. Grumpy Stack says, I'm a broke SMBO, so I'll have to use my own circuit to do accessories. I can't pay 2 loons. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Did we ask you for money? What do you got? I have to use my own circuit to do accessories. Oh, okay, to do like t-shirts and junk. Yeah, we charge money.
Who wants to do stuff?
Doug Stack. I don't know. What do you need, Doug Stack? Talk to Raini. Or use your own circuit.
Yeah.
Romeldian says he's a puppet for the Kabbalah. Cabal, I think you mean. That how much they don't care about us. Yeah, exactly.
Scotty, just so you know, when he says circuit, it's that little machine that I wanted to get that we didn't buy.
Oh.
It was like $400. And I said, we have money. Should we buy it now? And you were kind of like, well.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, well, I guess I don't.
What's it do?
Cuts out vinyl.
Oh, you got a vinyl cutting machine. Is that what you're talking about, Grumpy? Cricket, he says.
Yeah, Cricket, whatever.
Okay.
Cricket, circuit, they all look the same.
I don't even know what that is. Raini told me about it months ago, and she was looking at it. I just realized Scotty's banner isn't going at the bottom. Well, you know what? You know what we can do? We can make it go. Thanks, Brianna. You will make us go. And if you know what that's from, you get a gold star. You will make us strong. You will make us go now.
Can I just eat my frickin' breakfast?
What's that from?
Down?
Anybody know?
Can you wait until I'm done eating?
Gold star if you get it. Yeah, boom, there it is.
My food's getting cold. Helping you now for the second.
Guys, can you talk quieter if it's not in context to the show?
Kids suck. That's in context of the show.
Good grief. They're arguing over there.
All I want to do is sit down and eat my food, and she's making me get up to do stuff.
She's making you do it?
Well, otherwise I'm going to listen to her bitch and whine the whole time.
Ellie,
No, leave my chair.
do what your mom says. It's that simple.
No, you can use this chair.
Do what the parent says. How is that hard to understand for a 7-year-old? Maybe they need to teach that in school. Kindergarten through 5-year-olds to 7 and 8-year-olds. Do what your parents tell you to do. Listen to them. How come that's not being pushed for in legislation?
I'm sitting on my chair. It goes to my desk.
There we go. Good Lord, there goes one of our chairs. It says, Brianna.
Yeah, break your stuff so I can throw it away.
Yeah. Parenting 101, says Field Guy. That right there is a temper tantrum you're listening to, which is very soon. Hey, I know how to deal with a temper tantrum. Maybe we'll let Raini take over and I'll go get the wooden spoon. And that will settle the argument. Jeez.
Would you like to use my phone for?
Yeah, I believe in corporal punishment, by the way. I can't find this.
Let me hook it up.
I can't find that comment I'm showing. The wind, LOL. Oh, the chair. The wind took your chairs. Got it. Ellery, that's enough. Sorry, folks on radio, listening to my young spoiled child yell and scream at her mom. That demands some action. And I'm doing this right now, so that leaves Raini to take care of it. So, Raini's not fighting Ellery. Ellery's fighting Raini. Raini told her, this is what you have to do. Go in your room and shut your door. Excuse me, folks. I was just told no.
You're in trouble. Here he comes. You
And this is why we don't broadcast this show on Sundays on the radio station. My child knows better. They've been told. All my children have been told. You don't act that way when we're doing radio live with a live audience. What's going on right now? A kid who doesn't give a rat's ass that dad's doing radio or mom is doing radio or other things are going on. Mom could be on the phone. She could be on an important phone call, and this would go on because that child wants what that child wants. So as a parent, what do? I'll be right back. I have to go take care of some business. So there you go. I do not like when my children are, can you say disobedient? Yeah, disobedient. That's a word. It's worth using with kids. I don't like it when kids, and they'll take advantage when we're on the radio or on the phone or talking to somebody. They'll take advantage of those moments. What do you do as a parent in those moments? Oh, Billy or Jenny, stop that now. You got to take care of business. Leslie says, that's when my kids acted up. Back then, you were attached with a cord. Yeah, I remember those days. They'd get as far away as they could, and I'd say, I'm not going to be on this phone forever. Exactly. I'm only on the phone temporarily, and you're only temporarily out of my reach, child. Think about that for a few minutes. So, yeah. I don't like children who deliberately misbehave. So, I don't like children who, hey, Scott Allen, good to see you. Glad you're here. I don't like it when my children will, we used to call that willful disobedience. Do children have to be obedient to their parents? Hell yeah, they do. Damn straight. I don't care if there are people that don't like that terminology nowadays. Children need to be obedient to their parents. And when they are willfully disobedient, that's different from making a mistake, or we can get mad at a kid for making a mistake. You really shouldn't spank a kid for making a mistake or go into severe forms of discipline just because they made a mistake. Or everybody does something wrong. Every now and then, everybody breaks things or says things they shouldn't or gets pissed off, or that stuff happens. Everybody does it. But when it's willful disobedience, I'm not going to do what you say. And that thing you just told me to do? No. You know what that results in? Discipline. Leslie says, Scotty, that's when you take something they love away for a week. And next time is 2 weeks. Consequences for their actions. Yeah, we do a hell of a lot of that around here. Sometimes it's we take away their TV privilege. We take away their device if they got. Now, the little one doesn't have a phone. The other two do. Flynn likes to stick his nose into his phone all day long after school. If he was to remain unchecked by a parent, from the time he walked in, he would get a snack after school, head to his room, stick his nose in a game, and he'd be there till 11 o'clock at night, unchecked. And then we would wonder why he's zoned out all the time. So, yeah, unchecked. But those are the things we end up taking away. Okay, you know what? Hey, guess what? No phone privilege for you for a week. Boom. You're done. No device. And now we've gotten to the place where we spell out the devices. No phone, no Game Boy, no Nintendo, no Wii, no handheld devices, no television, nothing that plugs into a wall or has a battery. Because you know what your kids will do? Hey, no devices this week. Well, you didn't say the Wii. It's like, what are you doing on that? You didn't say that. You said devices. They look for the loopholes. It's like, that ain't a loophole. So, yeah, that's what we do. Yeah. Leslie, sorry, I just clicked on that one again. There's a huge difference between a mistake and doing something deliberately. That's very true. Barry Sam, I got the wooden spoon or a strap, says Steph Cuervo Queen. Yeah, we don't always spank our kids, and there's a certain age after which you don't really spank. It's really like 6 or 7 and up, you're done spanking. Our little 7-year-old, she can still get a swat on the butt every now and then. I'll give a swat on the butt to the 10-year-old girl when she walks by. Knock it off. Crack on the ass. Flynn, I don't. There's times I have grabbed Flynn. I want to grab him by the ear. I want to grab him by the arm. I want to grab him by the shirt in the front and throw him up against the wall and say, knock it off. Because he's big enough. Flynn sometimes gets a slap in the face. If he uses abusive language toward his mom, which he's just preteen. He's going to be a teenager officially in about 2 months. Figure that one, Mom. So, he bad talked. He screamed at his mom not long ago, days, weeks ago. I slapped him in the face. I mean, no, I'm not talking about an all-out hauling back and slapping him to knock him to the floor. I'm talking about I slapped him in the face. Crack. Don't you dare talk to your mom that way, I said. You apologize to your mom now and give me your phone. So there are certain things kids do that it merits certain reactions. Let's see. Matt Finn says, I don't tend to yell at my kids. I calmly and firmly dish out the punishment. Doing it that way takes your tells as to how far they can push the boundary. Makes you less predictable. Yeah, I know that one, Matt Finn, and I know I have always striven to say to my kids to try to be calm, but I got to tell you, there are times I yell at my kids because I can't hear myself think over them yelling at us. I'm like, hey, that's enough. And I go, now here's what's going to happen. That's when they get the raised voice. And I prefer the calm approach. All right. For your behavior, here's what's going to happen now. And they could be screaming all they want. But different kids and different means and methods. My daughter had her senior prom last night, and she has less than 3 weeks of classes left. Congrats, Doug Stack. Then she's going to be an adult pretty soon and out on her own. Scott Allen says, when I was little, my mom took my toys to the next door neighbor because I wouldn't put them away. After a couple of days, I went and nervously told my neighbor my mom said I could have my toys back. Did you get them back? I'll bet you started putting your toys away after that. Yeah, we're at the point where there are times, and we've done it already. Everything on the floor that we've told you to pick up 100 times is now going in a garbage bag. So Sean Bowden says, I'll give Kaysen a little angry look and he'll stop. He knows I don't play stupid games. Boom. That's it. Now, does Kaysen live with you full time? Sean, I was trying to understand your situation there. Do you have custody of him? Do you share custody? Just curious. You don't have to answer it online if you don't want to. I think more people might know than I do. Elderberry says, see, we got ear popped instead of a pat on the cheek. Yeah, ear popped. I will give a thwack on the head. I'm like, knock it off. You know, sometimes at arm's length is all you can get closer to them. And I don't like the mouthing off, especially to their mom. You do not mouth off to your mother. Do you understand me? And so we have more raised voices around here than anything because we're usually working, we're doing stuff, and it's in the car, and they're always bickering and fighting. It's like, stop. Everybody, shut up. For God's sake. I'll be talking to Raini in the car, and the kids are fighting in the backseat, bickering. We can't hear each other. We realize Raini and I, we're yelling at each other to be heard. And that's when we go, hey, knock it off back there. And it's constant. So, see, I want a Von Trapp family. You ever watch the old Sound of Music? I want to blow a whistle and the kids line up in uniform. And they do what they're told. It doesn't mean they don't misbehave. It means that they're disciplined. Beth Kirkham says, good morning. I don't know what it's all about. My spawn of Satan was the perfect little girl. Welcome, Beth, by the way, to the program. And yeah, kids all act differently. My older daughters were pretty good girls. They did stuff when they got into their teens. I don't remember them ever really needing to be yelled at. Although I yelled at them about picking up at the bottom of the stairs where all their stuff got left down to their room. Sam was a different story. He got into trouble. We've got these three kids of ours. Now, the difference between my older children and my younger children is my older children, they only had me in the house until Raini came on the scene. My daughters were, how old were Abby and Bryn? 13 when you came around?
Their first birthday party where we were kind of dating, but weren't dating, was 13 because you had somewhere you had to go, and I said, well, I'll stay and watch them for their sleep.
They were 13. They were born in 2002, so that was 2005, January of 2005. You watched my kids, and Raini was kind of around. We weren't quite dating yet. That kicked off in at festival season, August of 2005, with Raini and me. So let's see. I see Brianna saying, "Ouch." That's either something. That's Leslie saying, "Brianna, ouch." What did Brianna say? I got a wooden paddle with holes drilled in it. Cross the ass if I misbehaved. My parents' friend's house. Yeah. I used to have a ping pong paddle with Einstein on one side. Be smart or it smarts. I think there is a lost art to paddling kids that we now no longer have in our culture. Oh, it's a bad thing to do. You don't lay your hands on your kids. You don't spank your kids. Bullshit. Spank your kids if they need spanking.
And that's why kids are assholes today.
And that's why kids are assholes today, Raini added. That is the truth. Kids are assholes because parents don't discipline the way they should be disciplined. What are some of the people that we see that you respect in business and government out there? They usually say, my parents didn't spank me enough. I've heard that more than once. That's why kids don't listen, says Field Guy. Yeah. Now, I'm not talking about abuse when you spank. Spanking can be taken to the wrong degree, and it can be abusive. But spanking for discipline, sometimes it's got to sting a little bit to make the point. And in little kids, getting a swat on the butt hurts more than getting a toy taken away. There's a certain age where you've got to Scotty Bro Hammer. There it is, says Ryan Gale. Welcome, Ryan. Good to have you in here this morning. Yeah, baby, Bro Hammer. But my kids suffer more when they lose a privilege now. They go, yeah, I'll take if I gave my kid a choice, you want a swat on the butt with a paddle, or do you want me to take your phone away for 2 days? Oh, give me the swat on the butt, man. I'll take it. Crack, little wince, and it's like, okay, thanks. Can I have my phone, please? So it doesn't work on older kids. It's more for a younger set. Get them in line. Now, is that because we treat them? I know I don't even want to quote what the anti-spanking crowd says. Oh, Bobby, that's really bad behavior. You need to think about that now. And Bobby's not getting it. They should get that at a certain age. I like to reason with my kids to a certain degree. Do you really think that that's the way you should talk to your mom? Or I reason with my kids. It's reasoning. They don't get it. The older ones do, I think. But it's now, why would you talk to your mom that way? Didn't your mom just make you food, well, all week long, made you food to eat? I provided it. She provided it. We provide you a house to live in. We give you devices to play your games on. You didn't pay for those. Your sister gave you games and a laptop for Christmas. Your older sisters, you have internet here at home because we pay for it. You have a roof over your head. You have bicycles to ride because we paid for them. You have clothes to wear because we paid for them. Why are you talking to your mom and dad that way? Again, remind us how unfair. My life is so unfair. You want to remind us how unfair it is? We could get you a box and you could live out by the mailbox. How about that? But you'll have to pay for the box. So you can't reason. Some kids, when they get a little older, they get that. But nobody likes to be reasoned with when they're arguing with you. Why? Because reason usually lets them see they're the one making the mistake. If somebody wants to argue with you, especially a child, and they don't want to listen to reason, it's because if they listen to reason, it makes sense. And they realize they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Showing disrespect to your children is bad behavior. That requires your attention. Sometimes that attention isn't pleasant for the disrespectful child. You mean showing disrespect to your parents is bad behavior. That requires attention. Yes, it does. Leslie, and I agree with you 100%. Oh, I think you corrected yourself. I meant showing disrespect to your parents is bad behavior. Yes, agreed. Field guy needs new clothes. Can you buy some for me, please? Under this roof, but then there'd be rules you have to abide by. I have told, and this is age old, hey, you say to the 10-year-old girl, hey, if you want to go get your own place, fine, I will. Okay, you go get a job and pay for your own place, and then you can make the rules in your house. How about that? And right now, the rules are not extraordinary. The rules are pretty easy to follow if you do them. Rules equals, I knew there was a catch. Exactly. Hey, I got this new shirt for you. But you got to do what you're told. So, there you go. I don't know. If you spank your kids, that's up to you. If you don't spank your kids, it's up to you. If you have a better way of dealing with your kids, that's cool. If you've got a system that works with your kids, that's cool. I would say, Sean, you've got your one son. Add 2 more kids to that mix and see how well some of the things that you do with the one child work with 3. They don't always work that way. Sometimes they do. Some of us have multiple kids and we have different ways of doing things. And I'm going to tell you this. I don't like spanking at all. I don't like doing it. It's usually something that is done when there's repeat offenses. And the spanking isn't like, you're going to lay over my knee now and we're going to give you 3 swats or 5 or whatever. Yeah, it's torture. It's usually a swat on the butt these days. The 7-year-old, when she was 5 and 6, trying to give her a swat on the butt and make it a formal, okay, we're going to give you a swat on the butt now. A flogging was like, I don't know, trying to swat a gnat. So, anyway, you get it. And everybody's got their own way of parenting that they think works. I can talk to any number of my friends who go, well, here's what I do, and it works. Well, there you go. They repeat offend, though, don't they? They still repeat offend. Kids are repeat offenders till they get it. As long as the rules are simple and fair, says Romeldian. Exactly. As long as the rules are simple and fair. Boom. I agree. Oddly enough, I would listen to Raini, says Field Guy. Raini. Field Guy said, oddly enough, I'd listen to Raini. Thanks, she says. Scott Allen says, I just smiled, thinking of Scotty smacking Field's head, saying, knock it off. I sometimes want to do that during a show. Field Guy, knock it off. Thwack on the side of the head. I used to tell my son Sam, and you ask Sam nowadays, I didn't treat him much differently. Because not that he wasn't an individual, and you have to deal with everybody on an individual basis, but I used to tell Sam, I want to give you the pure joy of 30 years from now, sitting with your buddies in the bar, thinking fondly of your dad and the long arm of his reach that would thwack you upside the head when you were a dick. And laugh about it. So, yeah, work time says, Sam got a thwack on the head. A lot. Thwack, knock it off. So, oh, you just hit your child. Shut up. Did not hit my child. Hitting my child would look very different. My child wouldn't recover because they are a child. I'm an adult. If I hit my child wouldn't recover fast at all. It's not what I do with my children. They'll get a thwack sometimes. So Morgan Snow says, when they told me they were leaving, I said, okay, but you have to leave the way you came into this world. Vaginally? That's weird. Oh, naked. I was trying to piece that one together, and I was like, okay, naked. There it is. Yes. Yeah, shut up, says Leslie. So, or here, you use this one when it's in type. It's hashtag shut up. Boom. So, there it is. Hashtag shut up. So, all right. Enough on that. The child has been quiet since I went back there. Now, yeah, she's watching TV now. Raini distracted her with television. After that one will go and go and go. She's like, she will harass the shit out of you, that little child, if she doesn't get her way. And I don't recall us ever, well, she's the youngest, she's the princess, they say, of 3 children. I don't recall us ever raising her to get whatever she wants. But man, she milks that. And if she doesn't get what she wants from anybody, her brother and sister, her mom, me, she goes ballistic on you. I will get what I want. She doesn't use these words, but you will give me what I demand of you, or I will make your life a miserable cesspool of stinking, sliming shit. And I will give it to you until I'm made to stop. That's the way that child operates. It's like, oh, no, you won't. Oh, yes, I will. And that's what you get. So I went back there and she stopped. And Raini just turned on a show for her, too. So she's very quiet right now. Let's see. What's everybody else saying? Romeldian says, is the old saying, do unto others as you would have done to you? Yeah. You know what? If I get out of line and I'm a shitty, smarmy son of a bitch, spank me. Raini, you have all rights to spank me if I'm shitty and smarmy son of a bitch and make demands of you and harass you.
The slotted bamboo spoon.
The slotted bamboo? Yeah, there you go.
Slotted bamboo spoon.
There it is. Say that 5 times fast. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they do, Leslie. She's the youngest and thinks that way. Boom. That's how the littlest ones think. Rowan, of course, being the middle child, is the tortured child.
Oh my God. And then my mom told her one time, that's just the way it is. Middle kids always get left out. So fucking Rowan uses it all the time. I'm just the middle child.
It's like, Mom!
I did. I yelled at her.
Raini's mom said, well, that's the way it is, Rowan. Middle child always gets left out.
My mom was
and Rowan has used that. I was a middle child too. I didn't get left out. So, but you did have the older one and the younger one bookending you. And so Rowan is like, I'm just a middle child. I just don't get what I want ever. I get squeezed out. It's like, no, you don't. My middle child is so privileged and she doesn't realize it. I'm not talking privileged on the political woke scale. I'm talking privileged in that she gets what she needs. She gets what she wants. She gets more than she wants sometimes. I enjoy my kids. I want my kids to be happy. I like getting them things. I like doing things for them. But I won't take the bullshit. I won't take the arguing. I won't take the yelling at their mom. I won't take the yelling at me. The arguing. Oh my God. I had a conversation with my mom Friday morning about kids arguing. We were talking on the phone. And I said, I never argued with you, did I? And my mom just started laughing. She said, that's all you ever did was argue. Everything I said. She said, argue, argue, argue. She said, you would just, she used to tell me when I was a little kid, you'll make a good lawyer someday. I had no idea what she meant. She said, I would argue that the sky was a different color than blue if I felt differently that day. And so Rowan is the apple that hasn't fallen far from that tree.
Oh my God, she fucking argues. And she argues like you, drives me insane.
Raini said, Rowan argues like me and it drives her insane. Yeah, Rowan's an arguer. And she'll go on. So the other morning, she was like, wanted something. I don't even remember what it was. Doesn't matter what it was. But we gave her our answer. No, you can't do that. Well, why not? You let Flynn do that one. No, we don't let Flynn do that. Flynn doesn't get away with that. Well, you let... No, I don't think so. Well, you said that this and that. And then 15 minutes later, she's still coming up with reasons that your argument, what you said, is the wrong thing to say. Sounds like Harley currently, says Brianna, and we're nipping that in the butt real quick. Or the bud. Yeah, you got to nip it in the bud early. But you know what? We did the same thing. That doesn't mean she's not going to do it again. Prepare yourselves. Steel yourselves, Brianna and John. Your children are going to buck you all along the way until they finally grow up and they get it. That's part of the maturing process, is to stretch the boundaries and see how far they can go. And if she's not bucking you to your face, you can damn well believe they're bucking you behind your back. They'll act a certain way in front of you. That's the thing. You can demand compliance. I do the same thing with my kids. I can demand compliance. Think back to your own childhood, the things that you got away with that you would never let your parents know. We all bucked our parents behind their back. Matt Finn says it's funny how some things never change from childhood in regards to you and debate, Mr. Roberts. Well, that's the truth to a certain degree. So, and I think Rowan's going to be the same way, Matt. I do. She'll be an arguer. She'll be a reasoner, a logicer, and all of that stuff. So, the sky is pink, says Field Guy. Sean Bowden said, I took an ass whooping for things I had nothing to do with. Is that on the tail of being a middle child? Or was this it? Leslie, I was number 2, first girl of 5. I took on a whole lot of responsibility in the house and around the farm. There you go. And sometimes kids just need that responsibility. They need to take it on. They don't need their parents reminding them every day that they need to do the thing. You know, when I was growing up, we had to wash the dishes every day. My mom went to work about 3 in the afternoon. She was a waitress, and she worked from 3 to like 11, something like that. She'd usually be home before midnight. All those kids are in bed, and she would leave instructions for dinner, or sometimes it got to the point where she didn't need to leave instructions for dinner. We ate a lot of pot pies and TV dinners in those days. We were poor and didn't know it. And we didn't have microwaves back then either. Everything was, you cook it in the stove and or the stove top or something. And so she would leave stuff for us to eat. We all knew what it was. We all knew where it was. We all knew that when she walked in at midnight, that table better damn well be cleaned off and the dishes better be done, dried, and put away. No dishwasher in those days either, other than the kids. And so we were left to our own in the evenings because Mom worked. It wasn't every night of the week, but it was most nights of the week. And
Don't yell. I don't know why that's going up. Oh, my chair.
there you go.
There you go.
So, and that's another thing. I've told my kids a million times, when I'm doing radio, don't barge into the room yelling. What happens? Every day. When I'm on the radio.
It's an alarm. She didn't want to miss it.
Yeah, I know. She just had to hand it to you. So, yeah, we did our chores because we knew what to do. We were told what to do, shown what to do. We knew how to do it, and we did it, or there was hell to pay. And we were 8, 9, 10 years old when that all started. That was our job, our responsibility around the house. Do the dishes. I have a hard time getting my kids to rinse out their dish and wash their own dish. We're starting to get to that stage where everybody's got to start doing the chore now. They're being assigned the chores. Raini made up chore sheets. We didn't have chore sheets when I was a kid. My mom just said, you will do the dishes every night and it will be done. Boom. You'll do them right after you eat. It doesn't sit on the table and wait for later. Eat, you clean off the table, you do the dishes. Whether she was there or not, we did it. I remember there were times I was woken up at 1 a.m. So you didn't do the dishes you didn't do the dishes tonight. Up now, you will go do them. That only happened once or twice, and it never happened much after that. So let's see. What did Brianna say? Technically, I'm an only child until my mom married my stepdad, and then I gained 4 brothers. Wow. Instant. That was Raini saying fucking, not my child. So in the background, if you're listening closely and can hear that. Yeah, Leslie, Scotty, we've heard you tell them a million times. Yeah, exactly. And when I'm on the radio, when I'm broadcasting, they come and violate that. They're taking advantage of the fact that I'm on the radio. And the consequences are not insevere. The consequences are usually pretty rugged. They still do it. Leslie says, my mama used to say, you use a dish, you wash a dish. If they're sitting in that sink, you can practically see the bacteria growing on them. And to this day, I hate a dirty dish in my sink. Yeah. There are times I come up to the sink and the sink is full and overrunning. Everybody's dish. Nobody. Do you know how many hundreds of times I have said, when you are done with your dish, rinse it off. Well, first of all, if you got leftovers on it and you're not eating it, dump it in the garbage can, rinse it off, and wash it. We've even got the little spray, the Dawn dish soap in the spray bottle. Tss, the concentrated. You wash it with a sponge, or we got the handles that are filled with soap. You wash it with the soap handle sponge. Wash it, dry it, put it away. That way, we don't have dishes stacking up. Yesterday, spent an hour and a half cleaning the kitchen. Flynn's off on a scout overnight, and Rowan's off at an overnight after the tournament yesterday for volleyball. And it's just Ellie and Mom and me at home. And I look at the sink and I go, nobody's washed dishes for 3 days. 2 days, I think it is. 2 days of dishes, all it is. Every bit of silverware in the house is used. Almost every plate and bowl, cups, all my coffee cups, all of these. I found all our coffee cups, and they all had orange juice residue in the bottom, which tells me that's Flynn. Flynn will get up and he'll go drink some orange juice, and then he gets a new cup the next time he goes. But does he rinse any of them out or wash them or put them away or rinse them and reuse his cup? No. So there's 100 dishes stacked up. I finally do the dishes, or Raini does the dishes. And it's like, why am I doing the dishes? Because there's no kid around here to say, hey, both the kids are gone and activities. It's like what bothers me is setting the parameters and having them not adhered to. And we're not policing them, watching them get up with a dirty dish and go just put it in the sink full of food. That's almost what it takes. Well, it's like, are you dumb? Do you not remember? Do you have memory problems? Rinse your dish, wash it, the spray soap, dry it, put it away. How hard is that? That takes you 1 to 2 minutes versus a half an hour washing all the dishes. So Leslie says, I'm using the same cup. It's my favorite. Yeah, I don't always throw my cups. I have coffee, and then you know what I do? I go up and I rinse them out. And I use that tomorrow morning for coffee. Ain't going to kill me. Matt Finn says maybe the severity of punishment isn't the problem. It's the length of punishment. Not enough time spent thinking under duress for the kids. Well, you know what it tends to be a lot of times? We get so busy around here. The discipline you imposed yesterday, the kids will deliberately forget it, and they'll try to do the workaround. Parents are like, after a couple hours, you look and you go, what are you doing on your phone? I grounded you from your phone yesterday. Well, I've been on it all day. It doesn't work that way. So maybe Raini needs to start wearing a dress and an apron and a pearl necklace around the house all day long. That way, that's all she does. And she's the Leave It to Beaver mom who is always there for the kids and always does. And no, we're both working stiffs. We work here. We're down here in the studio almost all the time working. And or mom's running everywhere with those kids, running them to their activities. They're not even teenagers yet. Activities coming out the butt. There's no rest. I'm glad volleyball's over. At least for a while, we'll have a Saturday that's not occupied with a tournament.
Softball starts up.
Yeah, softball's starting very soon. So I hope there's at least a week or two gap in there.
And if there weren't 16 girls on the volleyball team, she would be doing tournaments for the next 4 weeks.
There you go. Tournaments. How can they have tournaments already? They haven't even started practice.
No, for volleyball.
Oh, for volleyball. Okay. And see, I love that my kids have things to do, activities to do. I hate that means we never have an open Saturday. I hate that means we're constantly running places. But there you go. Yep. Leslie says, yep, I work my days around the things I had to get 6 kids to. That's a lot of work. Yeah, no doubt. So go use your bike. That's why I bought you a bike. Unless they're doing a tournament in Hammond, which is 20 miles that way. They can't take their bike to that. So, 6 kids, Leslie the Goddess. That's a tribe. Ain't that the truth? Says Beth Kirk. That said, me too. Nobody does dishes in this house. It's me. Pretty much just me. I get that. And why? Did I grow up in some fantasy land where, because our mom said we had to do the dishes every day, we just did them? Because it was our job?
Well, in your mom's time, she could hit you upside the head with a phone.
And my mom's time was only, only 20 years before your time. It wasn't like, we were living on the farm and we didn't have telephones. It was, I grew up only 20 years before you did.
I know, but you always say you got beat or smacked the phone or whatever.
Think of the time difference. You and I met almost 18 years ago. That's 2 years shy of 20 years. How different are the times now than they were 18 years ago? Yeah, barely any difference from 18 years ago. Very. Yeah. What's difference about the times? Kids have more access to technology.
You're not supposed to smack your kids.
We got that when I was younger than when I met you. We heard you're not supposed to spank your kid. I've been hearing that since I was in high school. And the times are not that different in 18 years. From the time my mom raised me to the time Rainey's mom raised her, not that much difference. You're talking the 1960s to the 1980s. Basically, when we were growing up, the 70s to the 90s. Yeah, there's a time difference. Things didn't change all that much. Technology changed. So, and I don't mean that to be argumentative, Rainey. I'm just saying I don't think times changed all that much between the way parents deal with their kids. 20 years? Beth, LOL. We have 7, but when my husband and I got married, one was up and out of the house. We had 5 boys and a girl. Nice. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Have times really changed all that much in 20 years from the way our parents dealt with us? Many of you grew up in the era of Star Wars and Legos and stuff like that. What's changed from the 90s or the early 2000s to today in raising kids? Not much. Kids still have to have their parents parent them. Kids still can be told, this is your chore, like they were told 20 years ago. This is your chore. You will do this or you will lose your privilege. I got the same thing when I was a kid that I got now. Only thing that's changed is the tech around us. So people have changed. How so, Field Guy? How have people changed? They've changed because of the tech. I think a little bit, yeah. Cell phones, the instantaneous communication that we have now has changed the world. No internet or social media back then. Nope. Yeah, we had other things. We had bicycles and fishing down at Shingle Creek. Those were the things that distracted us when I was a kid. We were out playing after school every day. The yelling at we got was, you're sitting too long on your video games online. That wasn't the yelling I got. I got the yelling, where were you for the last 4 hours? But generally, we didn't get a lot of that because we basically cracked open the summer, cracked open the door at the crack of dawn. We were gone. We didn't see Mom till it got dark. And then she was like, I'm glad you got home before I went to work because I got to tell you this. Or she'd leave us a note. Hey, get your room cleaned up. Yeah, they still find ways to get out of doing it and finding access to the stuff you take away from them, says Steph. Yeah, ain't that the truth? Right now, you take a kid's phone away from them, you've cut them off from their source of communication with their friends. Back in my day, we were told we couldn't use the phone. You're not allowed on the phone. You're not allowed to watch TV today. That was the killer. Because when I was a young kid, I used to watch the ever-present reruns of Star Trek every day at 5 o'clock. And in its earliest form of syndication in the early 70s, about 5-6 years after it went off air, and as a series. And so that was killer. I hated that. I'd sneak to watch the TV, to watch my favorite show. I'd sneak to use the phone if I wanted to. We had the phone with about a 30-foot coily cord on it. You could walk almost 30 feet away from that phone with that thing. When it's hung up, it would hang all the way to the floor and doubled up. And so the phone was my bedroom was in the downstairs of the house. And you could come up the stairs, and on the wall, right next to the door jamb to go downstairs. Here's the door, and right there on the wall was where the phone hung on the wall. So I could come up the stairs and I'd peek, and if my mom wasn't there, I'd just grab the phone, punch in my number. Well, we used to have a rotary up there. Punch in the number and walk all the way down the stairs real quick and around the corner into my room and talk to my friend. That's how I'd sneak being on the phone. If I got caught, it was hell to pay. Leslie, you only had a 2-foot cord? Boy, we grew up in different eras. We had a 30-foot cord. Yeah, my mom got that so she could cook and do things that she did around the house and still have the phone in the crook of her neck. So I had a phone and TV in my room growing up, said Field Guy. Yeah, I had a little black and white 13-inch TV set, a Zenith. It was black and white. Back in the late 60s and the early 70s. Little portable TV, probably more in the, would it be the early 70s? No, it's more the late 60s to the early 70s. Yep. That sat on the dresser. I had the top bunk. My brother had the bottom bunk. And so I put it up on top of the dresser. That was my TV. Watch whatever I wanted to. Times haven't changed much. Tech has changed. Tech affects the way our children act to a certain degree, but all it is, it's a different external stimuli affecting our children's behavior than we had when I was a kid. We had transistor radios, little walkie-talkie type radios, to listen to the radio, AM radio. Just call me angel of the morning. Now all those songs are being revived, so people are thinking they're newer than they are. That was one of the songs I used to hear in the late 60s. So that's the first one that popped in my mind anyway, talking about transistor radios. Gotta go, says Susie Q. See ya. Thanks for being here, Susie. Leslie says, yes, Scotty, that was extended. By the time I was married, I had a long cord. There you go. Yeah, I was married for the first time in 1982. 82. That's now 40 years ago. My ex-wife and I, Suzanne, and I would have been married for 40 years this year. So, when I first got married, we didn't have cell phones. But times don't seem that different from when we were married. Just the technology changed. If I wanted to call my wife while I was out doing something, I had to pull up to a payphone and throw a dime in it. Yeah, it used to be a dime. Then it went up to a quarter, and we thought, what the heck? There are people I know that use payphones, and they cost a nickel when they were younger. Let's see. Leslie married her late husband in 1978. You were 20 years old. I was 18. I turned 18 in November of 78. That's the year I graduated high school. Brianna Learman, I got to go too. I need to get this homework done so I can clean the stupid house so it's ready for when the babysitter comes next weekend and get stuff ready for garage sale. Isn't that crazy that it takes a week to clean our homes because we know somebody's coming over in a week? I know how that is, Brianna. I get it. We get it. If we have somebody coming over next week, we clean the house. If we clean it days ahead of time, it's useless. It's pointless.
We think about cleaning it days ahead of time and then do it the day of.
Yeah, we think about it days ahead of time, but we don't do it. We do it the day of. Why? Because if we did it the day before, it would be a wreck again the next morning. It's the way the animals treat the zoo around here. I keep telling my kids on the same topic, this is your house. You live here. Have courtesy for everybody else. And how can you do what you're doing in a mess? Why don't you pick that up? It's like I have an experiment going. I've seen a fork laying in the garage in the walkway for the last several days. I don't know how long, maybe even a week. Not mine, not Raini's. One of the kids left it there, dropped it out there. They were eating, sitting out in a chair in the end of the garage. It's right in the walkway. I step over it every day. Why? I want to see if one of the kids will pick up the fork they dropped there. Guaranteed you'd have the boy say, "Not my fork." Well, I'll bet you there's been a time you've eaten off that fork and you don't know it. It gets washed and put in the general drawer of silverware or flatware, whatever you want to call it. This is your house. If you step over it, bend over and pick it up and throw it in the sink on your way. This is your house. Now, I could pick it up. I pick up stuff all the time. So does Raini. This is the experiment for me in my own head. I want to see when one of my kids, and I think I've pretty much already proven to myself in this experiment that a kid will not bend over and pick that up. None of them. They've all walked over it 10 times. So, yeah, fine. I dropped this fork, but I ain't picking it up. Still ain't picking it up, says Field Guy. Yep, that's kind of it. I envy you, Sean Bowden. My kid's like me. He's a clean freak, says Sean. Now, I'm not a clean freak, but I like things in their place. Pick up. If you drop it, pick it up. I've seen my kids for as many years as we've been on them about this. One of my kids just the other day, it was the middle child, standing in the room. She pulled the wrapper off something in the dining room, pulls the wrapper off. The thing goes to the mouth. It's a popsicle or was something she was eating. Wrapper, she just flings it on the floor. And I'm like, do you just see what you just threw your wrapper on the floor? And she rolls her eyes like, "Oh my God, Dad." And bends over and picks it up, throws it away. I said, what is so hard about throwing it in the garbage can, which is 6 feet away? Oh, it takes too much time. But still, the 10-year-old, after being told for years, talked about for years, berated about it for years, encouraged about it for years, still ripped the wrapper off and dropped it on the floor. I'm like, are you kidding me? Did you just drop that on the floor? Not because we have a hermetically sealed, sterile house and it's clean. Oh my God, you dropped a wrapper on the floor. It's like, no, you just dropped a piece of garbage that you should walk to the garbage. You dropped it on the floor. Will you pick that up, please? Or a plate, come with, the crusts left on half of a sandwich that they've eaten. And chuck it in the sink and start walking around. I'm like, hey. Can you take the food off of that, please? Throw it out. Rinse your plate. Wash it. You could even wash it. There are times I've said to my kids, they get mad at me. I'll finish something. We're all sitting in the living room. We're all, I don't know, whatever. Everybody's eating their own thing. Snack time or whatever, piece of cake. And I'll walk to the kitchen, which is all open to the living room and the dining room and open layout. And I said, hey, guys, watch this. This is my plate. Watch. And I watch and they're all like, God, Dad. Oh, my God, Dad. And it's like, I'm just showing you it can be done. And look at that. It took me 30 seconds. What's so hard about that? If you have OCD, you wouldn't like my room, says Field Guy. Yeah. It's a good thing this camera isn't mobile. I'd show you my son's room. So we sometimes wonder if there's anything growing in there. So, what else we got going on? I think we've covered that topic well enough. So kids, it's just parenting. It's raising them. It's only a hassle if you let it get to you. It gets to me sometimes when I have to say things 20 times. But that's normal. Even when you're a disciplinarian, it's normal. About the only time I think kids would not do those things are if they're in fear of their parents. Not fear of being punished, but fear that their parents would hurt them. They're compliant out of fear. That's not good parenting either. I don't want my kids to fear me. I would like them to respect me and fear the outcome. Like, you're going to get grounded for a day, or you'll be off your phone for a day if you don't do this task, off your phone for a week if you do this. I want them to understand those consequences. But they say rewards are a better system of getting things done than discipline. Well, sometimes. Like right now, my child is on their, 7th round of, if you keep your room clean for a month, yes, you can get a hamster. We're not in any fear of having to spend money on a hamster anytime soon. That arrangement has been entered into so many times for so many different things that they just can't seem to uphold it, or they forget about it. And, I don't feel like cleaning my room today, so I'm out. Excuse me. That was me, not you. Sean Bowden says, I'm OCD. I have to make my bed before I start my coffee. That's just how I was raised. I generally like to make my bed in the morning too. But there's either somebody in it, or I've gotten up early and I've staggered to the kitchen to make my coffee. Were you military, Sean? Sometimes that's a trait of guys who've been in the military. They make their beds, iron their shirts, things like that. Yeah, I like to iron my shirts. I'm OCD about that. So I like the bed to be made in the morning. Do I have periods of time I've gone through and it's not done? Yeah. I have things like picking up my clothes, things like that. My closet was a wreck for a long time after we moved, because it was all in bags. When we moved, we just shoved all the extra clothes into garbage bags, brought them up, threw them in the closet. And they sat that way for a couple of months or more before I did anything about it. And I had piles of clothes. Now I've got it set up the way I want it. Once I set it up, certain things folded on the top shelf, hanging stuff, shoes and stuff like that. There's no clothes on the floor except the ones in my basket for my dirty clothes on the bottom of my side of the closet. So Leslie likes to iron shirts, hoodies, etc. It's the way I was raised. No wrinkles. There you go. I like to put a crease in my dress shirts when I wear them, down the arm. And it's the way I always had it done. I used to, when I had my own little ad agency studio, design studio, I'd wear a suit and tie to work every day, and because you didn't know which client you were going to meet, and always prepared. And I used to send my dress shirts to the cleaners, put them on hangers. I want heavy starch in the collars and cuffs, a crease down the arm, and put on hangers. That's the way I got my shirts back. I go to the dry cleaners, pick up my shirts for next week, all on hangers. That's the way I liked living. So Grumpy Stack lets the pile of clothes crease his dress shirts. I'll bet. Oh, what's that design today? Yep. Yeah, dress pants. If you have to wear dress pants, I do the same thing. I like a crease going down the front. If they're pleated, you follow the pleat down to the cuff. So, yeah, I'm the same way in that respect. So, anyway, there you go. That's on our personal cleaning. How do we pass that on to our kids? How do we get our kids to do the things we want them to do? And how do we maintain that? And I think that there are probably very positive ways to get our kids to do what we want them to do. Oh, the old days, says Beth Kirkham. My mom and grandmother had baskets full of ironing. Oh, yeah, my mom did too. And she taught us kids how to iron and how to do our own clothes, our own laundry, how to use the washer, how to use the dryer, how to use the iron so we didn't scald our shirts. She taught me about spray starch she had. And you know what? That's how much times have changed in 20 and 30 years. We still have spray starch today. Spray the collar, iron it. Spray the cuffs, iron them. I always spray the body of the shirt and the sleeves if I want to put a nice crease in the sleeve from shoulder to cuff. And my mom, who was I just telling this to the other day? We were sewing. I asked my mom to sew something for me. I wanted her to, excuse me, what's that? Oh, that's what it was. They were sewing patches on shirts, scout shirts. Raini and one of her scout mom friends. They were sewing patches on the boys' shirts. And they said, oh, the boys should be doing this. And I said, well, my mom taught me how to use a needle and thread really early because she didn't want to have to do that stuff for me all the time. She was busy doing other stuff. So she taught us how to sew, how to use certain, knots. I always do the in, out, back through, and knot each stitch when I sewed. I'm sorry. My printer's out of ink.
It's not. It won't print anything from my computer.
Oh, it won't print from your computer? Oh, did you fill the ink? Anyway.
God damn it, you that cat.
So there's the cat harassing Raini to be fed again. A fat cat. Feed me, feed me, feed me. I don't do shit for you, but feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me. Cat doesn't even cuddle with you. Cat could live just fine for 24 hours a day, except for intermittent begging for his food to be fed again. It's like, fat cat, I've already fed you. You don't need any more food today. Meow, meow, I'll go eat the dog food, MFer. Which is what he does at night, unless we put up the dog food that the dog has left over. And what is it about pets? They like to eat each other's food. The dog will eat the cat food. The cat will eat the dog food. They're always trying to one-up each other on who gets the food. Dog's food is upstairs in the kitchen. Cat's food is downstairs in the downstairs bathroom. Cat looks up, I want food. Pretty much. Sergeant Starch, says Elderberry. Absolutely, that's right. Beth Kirkham says, my mom or my man had a Coke bottle with a rubber sprinkler top she used for water. There you go. How smart is that? I think my mom may have had something like that in the 60s. My mom was a stay-at-home housewife back in the early 60s when I was born in 60. Until the time I was about 5 or 6. My mom was a stay-at-home housewife. I remember her in the 60s, in the summertime, wearing the sleeveless, button-up, collared shirts untucked with the shorts and stuff. That's the way she dressed in the summer. And she did stacks of ironing all the time. And my stepdad was a blue-collar worker. But socially, they'd go out in the evening, or they'd go out on Sunday, or they'd go to church on Sunday. He was always a suit and tie. It was the 60s. So, yep, with pedal pushers, Leslie, exactly. And, yeah, the spray bottle with the water. That was like a new invention. Look at this. So, basically the same old stuff, says Field Guy. Yeah, you're right. Coincidentally, humans do the same with resources. There we go. I don't know what the antecedent was to that. What? Feed me, feed me, feed me? Yeah, pretty much. Do you give back to your planet? Oh, I thought you were looking at me for something. You're printing.
Oh my god, it just spits out paper. I don't know why.
Spits out paper.
Printing my shit
Did you refill the ink?
Yes.
I don't know
I'm
why.
irritated that it's not working.
You check your settings. That's all I can say. So, anyway, folks, I think that's about all I got for today. I hope we at least talked some things through, have some fun talking about things. I didn't offer you up. And now here are my 7 solutions for how to get your child to do what you want them to do. You know what? I could probably look up something. Let's see. How do I get my child to do what I want them to do? Question mark. How to get your child to do what you ask the first time. Let's see what this is. Here you go. How about this? How to get your child to comply. Here's an article I just pulled up. It's at verywellfamily.com. Verywellfamily.com. And this is how to get your child to comply. Before you get too angry, it's important to note that I need my glasses to read some of this. Let's look at some of these and let's get your comment on these. Let's see what they have to say. I don't even know if this is a good website yet, but let's look at what this website has to say about how to get your child to comply, to do what you want them to do. Before you get too angry, it's important to note that your child may not be ignoring you on purpose. They really might not have heard you or have forgotten. My children ignore us. They pretend they've forgotten. Oh, I didn't hear you say that. You ever get that? I didn't hear you say that. Leslie, did you ever get that from your kids? I didn't hear that. You never said that. Grumpy Stack says, beat them instantly.
My favorite is the, I know you asked me to clean my room, but you didn't tell me I had to pick up the trash.
I know you asked me to, Raini just said, if you didn't hear her, the kid will say, I know you asked me to clean my room, but you didn't tell me I had to pick up the trash out of my room. What? That's why we get specific. We're like encyclopedic. Hey, son, I want you to clean your room, and I want you to clean up all the dishes you've got stacked up in there, and all your empty pop cans, and I want you to clean up all the wrappers on your floor, and I want you to pick up any garbage that's there. Oh, and while you're cleaning your room, I would like you to pick up all the books and games that are on the floor, and I'd like you to hang up all your clothes that are laying all over, or put them in the dirty clothes basket. You got to spell it out for him. Because if he didn't do any of those things, there would be nothing to pick up in his room. So it sounds like a parenting site that made excuses for disobedient children. Maybe. Also, they may fully intend to do what you're asking them, but just play to do it later. Flynn will do that. I can do that later. I've gotten to the point where I tell Flynn, no, there ain't no later. Every time you tell me you'll do it later, I'm asking you again the next day. Why didn't you do that thing? Get it done. So here's a variety of strategies, says this website, you can use to get your child to do what you want them to ask the first time. Number 1, get their attention. Science has proven that when children become immersed in what they're doing, they don't pay attention to what's going on around them. Well, it took a scientific study to figure that one out. I can be immersed in what I'm doing, and Raini can't get my attention. Sometimes she has to get my attention in very creative ways. She goes, oh, I got your attention. Now, let me tell you what I need. So, in fact, the research points out that kids under the age of 14 lack peripheral awareness. Now, we know what peripheral vision is, so peripheral awareness, which means that if your child is focused on a toy, a book, a game, a TV show, when you ask them to do something, their brain is tuned into that activity and not much more. Yeah, see, I can go along with that. I get that. That's true. Matt Fenn says, I always say, never comes. That's why we do it now. Boom. That's it. Do it now, son. I should do it now. You can pick your game back up later. We're in a day and age where you can freeze your TV and pick up your show later. I want you to clean your room now. I want you to do your dish now. So get your kids' attention is the first one. If you're busy in another room, ask your child to come to you before making your request. Now, we do some of that. I'm like, Flynn! You hear him way up in his room go, what? And he starts talking. I go, come down. So I'm calling you. When we call your name, you come to us. That's your obligation, your duty, your job. I'm not going to yell across the house, through the floors and walls to express what I need you to do. You come down here where we are in the studio. You talk to us. So change your approach is the other one. If you've approached your child as above and it still takes repeated nagging or begging on your part to get them to do as you say, then you may need a new game plan. Many children have developed several strategies to put things off as long as possible. Now, that's the truth, ain't it? I know what that is. They have several strategies they incorporate, employ to not do what you ask them to do. Kids don't quite understand consequences of not doing undesirable tasks. They're more motivated by what brings them joy rather than what has to get done. And I don't know why it's such an... I don't like doing the dishes, but whatever. Yeah, undesirable. We'll leave it there. The fact that the matter is that most adults wouldn't categorize these activities as fun either. Do your dishes. It's not fun. So children learn to distract parents by whining, bringing up something else to do at that moment, starting an argument, or just downright ignoring the request. We experience all of those every day. And to curb your child from stalling or ignoring you, you'll need to put a little more time and attention in the way to approach the situation. So approach, not reproach, approach. The other one is be patient. Breaking a child's tendency to ignore you or resist cooperating when you say something the first time. It's going to take time and some practice on your part. We're well practiced at that. The child's tendency to ignore or resist cooperating, yeah, we're used to that. Is it because they're bad kids or we're bad parents? No, it's because they're kids. However, the results will be less frustrating. There'll be less anger and stress for you. Hopefully more respect, compliance, self-discipline from your child. If you practice on your part. Yeah, we practice all right. Still frustrating. Still pisses me off when my kid wants to argue with me over doing a dish. Oh, my favorite. Hey, Flynn, it's your turn. You got to do the dishes tonight. Or Rowan or whoever. Rowan sucks at dishes. Really bad. But the argument is usually, those aren't all my dishes. I didn't eat off all those dishes. To which I will usually say, that food that you ate off of those dishes, we didn't eat it. We made it for you. You ate it. Wasn't my food. That dish wasn't my dish. Why should I wash it? Why should Mom wash your dish? Not her food. Who's going to wash the dishes? The person appointed to do it. It's your task. Thank you. Get to it. So, set a time frame is the other thing to get your kids to listen to you. Decide in your own mind what you want your child to do and the time frame you'll accept for their compliance. Immediately or within 15 minutes, etc. Check in with yourself about the reason behind your choices, whether that actually matches your request. You know, I usually say to my kid, hey, I want you to do the dishes. I'm just using the dishes because it's an easy example. I want you to do the dishes. I don't want to right now. I'm in the middle of finish what you're doing and go do the dishes. And that's too nebulous. Finish what you're doing. It's too open-ended. I could come back 4 hours later and, the game kept going to another level. You're still playing the same game? Yeah. Or no, I just started that movie. So it was 2 hours. No. You just started.
I paused the movie.
Yep.
To see where it's at to be like, no, it's still got 45
Yep.
minutes.
Or if you just started that movie, pause it, come back to it later. I want you to do this chore. Tomorrow is an unacceptable answer. So be specific is the next one. Don't phrase your request as a question. Tell them specifically what you want them to do in a direct way. For example, rather than asking, can you please go brush your teeth now? Say, please go brush your teeth right now so you can go to bed on time. Now, ours is usually a bit more clipped than that. Hey, brush your teeth. It's bedtime. And I say to Raini all the time, we both get in this trap, but I'm like, don't ask them. Let them know this is your expectation of them. Don't say, will you please go do the dishes? It's no. Hey, time to go do the dishes. See ya when you're done. So set the, and it's not usually that cold and harsh. It's that cold and harsh when it's been asked several times. Hey, now's the time. Go do it. Hey, weren't you asked to brush your teeth 20 minutes ago? Why are you still watching TV? Here, let me help. I will turn off the TV while you go brush your teeth. So there it is. What did Elderberry say? Elderberry said then she can mow where she walks on the grass, right? I missed something before that. Rowan sucks at doing dishes because she doesn't want to do dishes. Bingo, Grumpy Stack.
I made her do dishes, 4 times one night? Redo them?
Yeah, she had to redo dishes 4 times one night, Raini made her. Because she's so bad at it, she just rushes through it to get it done, and there's still food on them. It's like, hey, when you wash dishes, the operative word here is wash dishes. Not pass them through the water and put them in the cupboard. No way, says Elderberry. Do it now is the correct path on that. Exactly. Do it now. Now is the time. Leslie says, I had 4 that were on top of everything. Then there was the 3 I had to walk behind with my foot. Yeah, pretty much. Watch for compliance. Oh, wait, be specific. Okay, I got that one. Watch for compliance. It's easy to give an instruction and pivot back to what you were doing beforehand. At the beginning of this practice, avoid doing so. Check immediately to see if what you requested was done. That way your child has accountability, knows you're serious about them complying with the request. You know, the one thing about that for both Raini and I, we're busy. Go do your thing that you were asked to do and get it done. I don't need to babysit you through washing dishes. If mom or dad says wash the dishes, get upstairs and wash the dishes. Go do it. Why should I have to stop what I'm doing to make sure you're doing the thing that you already know you're supposed to be doing and have been asked to do 100 times before? It doesn't take me walking you through the process. It takes you doing what you're told to do or asked to do, however you want to phrase it. So watching for compliance, yeah, that's okay sometimes. Sometimes kids just need to do what they're asked to do, and you shouldn't have to. There's the shouldn't have to. Babysit them through the process. It ain't rocket science washing a plate. Go wash your plate. Dry it, which is also not rocket science. Put it in the cupboard, which sometimes needs to be rocket science because, like I say, I'm not OCD, but I like things to be where they're supposed to be. There's sometimes I open the cupboard and I just reach in without looking and I'm reaching for something and it's not there. It's like, where's the thing that goes there and has been put there every day for the last 6 months? Oh, it's over in that cupboard now, over there. Well, why is it over there? Because somebody was too lazy to put it back where it came from. That's the one thing about my house. My cupboards, my refrigerator. You go and you reach for something, you go. Our household is a household of put something down wherever there's an open space. Oh, here's an open space. I'll put it there. No, the thing that's out goes there.
Especially now since we moved here, where cupboard space is so limited.
Our cupboard space, yeah, is limited here.
Refrigerator is tiny.
Refrigerator, it's a big refrigerator, but it's tiny in cubic feet on the inside. It's like trying to stand up a ketchup bottle. You got to rearrange all the shelves just to stand up the ketchup bottle.
All of our bottles lay down.
Yep.
You can't stand anything.
Our bottled stuff, you got one shelf in there that can have things standing up. You take out a shelf, you lose shelf space for everything you can lay down in there. So, praise success. Oh, wait. Before that, check for understanding. If they don't begin doing what you asked or don't complete the task, calmly ask them, what did I ask you to do? Make sure the child is clear about what's expected. If they can correctly tell you, say, that's good. Now please go get to it. I love the way these things are phrased. It's usually, we'll walk through the room and we'll stop and we'll look and we'll go, how come you're not doing that thing your mom asked you to do? What? What'd she ask me to do? Did you not hear her? She asked you to do the dishes. I didn't hear her say that. What? I was down in the studio and I could hear her saying that to you. Where were you? Go get it done. Please is usually a first thing. Hey, you please go do the dishes. It's your turn. It's time. Please, I don't incorporate second, third, and fourth times. It's like, hey, weren't you supposed to be on the dishes? Go do it. Son. Daughter. I will say to Flynn, I would go, son, what's there to wait for? Get it done now. Get it out of the way. Then you're open-ended for the evening to do your stuff. I said, you keep doing, we're going to have to cut it off. I said, so stop now. Do what you were asked to do. Then go back to your thing. Grumble, grumble, grumble. Argue, argue, argue. That's enough. Just go do it. No, please. No, thank you. Maybe. Oh, but whenever they're done, even if I've got to press them to get it done, it's like, thank you for accomplishing that. I appreciate that. Don't make us ask you 3 times next time. Now, I'd also say it's here, praise success. If your child does what you asked, tell them what a good job they did and how much you appreciate them taking it. Oh, what a good job you did, and I sure appreciate you taking action. It's easy to forget to do this, but remember, reinforce the compliance with praise. That can go a long way to reinforcing the behavior. I agree with that to a certain degree. I always thank my kids. Hey, thanks for doing that. Thanks for getting that done. Next time, don't make mom ask you 4 times. But thank you. Isn't it? I always say to my kids, now look at the countertop. It's clean. There's no dirty dishes strewn all over. Doesn't that feel good? Good job. I always say it with that tone of voice too. But Leslie says, you don't have to lavish them with praise. Just say good job. You don't want them to think they've saved the world just by doing their job. That's the thing. Rowan will say, well, do I get money for this? Hell no. Do mom and dad get money for making you dinner? No. This is your job. This is your house, your household. The reward for you is walking through your house and it's clean. Walking through your house and know you've done a good job. I said, pat yourself on the back. I'll come and pat you on the back too. Good job. No, you don't get money for this. So I agree, Leslie. Give fair warning. If they don't do what you asked after the first or second request, then it's time to explain why you're asking them to do that specific task and what the consequences are if they don't comply. Just repeating because I said so is not effective and may lead to other issues with compliance. By the way, I will sometimes say to my kids, why did your mom have to ask you a second time? Second time. Not third or fourth. Sometimes the fourth or fifth. But usually I'm like, hey, if mom asks you to do something, first time, boom, you do it. she shouldn't have to ask you twice. Especially when they're like arguing. You hear the tone of voice that comes up out of my throat when I'm talking about, because I usually say those things and talk about these things when they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Or when they're fighting, and Mom, I hear Mom yelling at him. Stop, for God's sake, stop. Will you stop? I'm putting you in that room and you in this room. Do your stuff separately. Can't get along. And what the hell are you fighting for? Why is it fighting the default? Mom and Rainey said twice or three times in the car yesterday. She said, I remember her saying the second time, she said, didn't I say to you, if anything comes out of your mouth, it better be nice or nothing at all. The old, rephrasing of the, can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all.
Can't say something nice, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, she said, if you can't say something nice, shut the fuck up.
That's usually after 10 times.
That's after 10 times of saying, stop fighting. Stop calling names. Oh, you retard. Stop. We said, stop. Yeah, well, she's just a retard. Stop. And it goes on and on and on. So, but give fair warning. We always give fair warning. We're like, hey, do that thing. If I got to ask you again, you lose your phone for the rest of the night. And you don't get to play your game the rest of the night. So it says here, if possible, show your child the actual impact of their behavior so that they know that your requests are not arbitrary. An example of this is to let your child know that if they don't do something you've requested, it affects others. For example, please go brush your teeth right now. Bedtime's in 15 minutes. If you don't brush your teeth right now, there won't be any time left to read a story tonight. Daddy really looks forward to reading with you before bed, and I know you enjoy reading with him too. You know, my kids will say to that, well, we'll just watch a TV show then. No, you won't. Think again. That's what I don't like. It's, hey, I was going to read. If you guys aren't going to get ready, there's going to be no time to read. Well, it's okay. We'll just watch a TV show. No, that's not the way this works. So the last one they've got here is be consistent and follow through. If your reasonable request is followed up by more defiance and temper tantrums, then it's time to follow through with the consequences you've set. Be firm and keep at it. Consistency with this step is key to letting your child know that you're serious when you make a request the first time. Yeah. So I tell my kids, there will be serious consequences. If I got to ask you again, there's going to be consequences. So, and boy, this goes on and says there's 5 reasons your child doesn't listen to you. Let's see. Too many warnings, meaningless threats, power struggles, lack of consequences, yelling. Those are the 5 reasons, and it breaks them all down into different. You give too many warnings, you make meaningless threats, you engage in power struggles, you don't follow through with consequences, you raise your voice. Well, raising your voice. Sometimes we just raise our voice to be heard over the arguing. Hey! Quiet. I say, if I'm talking and you're talking over me talking, you're not going to be able to hear me talking, so shut your yap. Listen to what I am saying to you. Elderberry, they'd rather fight than finish any work. Ain't that the truth? Some days. Hell no. Did I get paid to make this beautiful, healthy meal? No, I didn't, says Leslie Holker. That's it. Hell no, you don't get paid for doing the dishes. You don't get paid for cleaning your room. Now, there are times I will say to my child, I got this special task I want you to do. If you do this, there's $1 in it for you. If it's a big task, I got $5 for it. $5. You do this thing for your mom. Little one, it can be $0.25. Ooh, quarter. Did it print? Okay. Leslie says you don't have to lavish them with praise. Yeah, we hit that one. Grumpy Stack, I was going to that store anyway. Someone locked their keys in the car, so I opened it for them. Okay. Something different. I just did a $40 job for a Red Bull Zero Sugar. Says Grumpy Stack. A $40 job. My wife would have your nuts on a platter, Grumpy, doing free work for people. Matt Finch, don't tell the wife you did that, Doug.
You're doing free work, they're going to be giving you blowjobs on the side.
You heard it from my wife. If you're doing free work, you better be getting BJs on the side. Grumpy Stack, I was going to go to that store anyway. Someone locked their keys in their car, so I opened it for them.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, that was just a neighborly thing to do. Honeydew doesn't count in this reality. Truth.
Well, did I only print them the Apple ones? Jesus. The printer sucks.
What's it printing?
I don't know how many times I had to click this before it finally went through, so probably like 50 copies of shit.
Nice. Just go make sure you cancel the previous sends.
I can't. It's not showing that on my computer anymore. This printer is as old as Flint.
Yeah. We do have an old printer. I don't know. It's not 12 years old, is it? This printer? It's a little HB color inkjet printer. Might be as old as Flynn. All right, folks. There it is. It's now 11:15. We're going to wrap it for today. Thanks for being around for a couple of hours. I appreciate it. I appreciate the fact that you come in here and spend your time in here. Even when we're ranting and raving about things. At least it wasn't just a nonsensical, non-topic show today. Worked my way a little bit out of my brain stupor. But I'm still not fully awake. I don't feel fully awake ever these days. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow night on Intrepid Radio right here, 9 p.m. And you guys have a fun rest of your day. And you know what? Live long and prosper.